Welcome back to the disaster that is 1941 for my Russian forces. As the third week of October came to a close, I was sitting in a very precarious situation in the south. It was based on the concept that he had, at some point, has to reach a limit to his supply lines. I have not reached that point yet. So his forces open up with an offensive near Rostov. With early gains of capturing the port city of Azov, the North Caucasus army in the area is pretty much eliminated from the field. Don't really have much of a chance to help retake any of this because the rest of his army group south strikes eastward into the southern front and equally decimates them. I will return to this at a later point in the video, but it is pretty much everything I have in the area, so I'm going to have to make a tough decision. Thankfully, though, as we move northward, we finally start to encounter heavy mud, so things slow down a bit. It's quiet in the Verneza area. He makes a push up to my lines and towards Tambov, but not much there. Tula is one site of combat. It's not much to talk about. And the only area of success for me on his half of his turn is a failed assault where my 30th Army holds the town of Rezhev, at least for this week. Truthfully, though, this is where I find things interesting with this specific campaign. After he conquered Leningrad, I expected a major push towards the Valdai Hills. So that's where I spent a lot of my effort with my reinforcements. And instead, in the Donetsk Basin, which I started at the beginning saying, I didn't think that he could quickly rebuild rail lines and bring adequate supply up from Stalino into Rostov and now into his push into, I forget the name of the central plains there south of Stalingrad. But he's apparently able to do that. So I'd have to make a change of gears. But this is what I'm staring at as my turn does begin. So the first steps of my turn is restructuring of my Air Force. This begins with a retreating process for the Black Sea Air Command. This is due to the fact that after conquering the city of Kerch, my opponent has continued to move across the strait to the east side of the Sea of Azov. I then begin to implement the advice that a commenter had given me and create dedicated dive bombing AOGs. So hopefully when I use them, I'll be able to put some punishment towards his southern army groups, because I do put most of them between this and the southern air command. But that activity won't happen until next week. For now, though, it's a repeat of my last turn in the air. Dedicated attacks on a few specific targets. Trying to run air superiority over the site for the first 5 days and then hit on the last 2 to hopefully kind of exhaust his forces. I haven't seen if that works yet, though. But this Panzer Division is going to be the main focal point of pretty much my entire turn. You put it out there, and I'm going to try to start with some bombing and then see if hopefully the ground side leads up to something positive. In the south here is just mostly harassment. I'm not in a position to really do anything down here except for desperately try to hold this little strait. All said and done, only losing 78 aircraft definitely works for me. The harassment is the plan for now. Eventually my whole air force is going to get pretty much just sidelined with winter. But as we address the situation on the ground, this is where I'm going to take a very, I'm assuming, unorthodox approach. Like I said earlier, I do not have anywhere near the strength to defend on a hex-by-hex basis. So I'm going to do another drastic retreat. Also going to pretty much leave a wide open, gaping hole in the center of my lines between these two fronts. The reason's really simple. And like I said, I don't have enough. It's going to take probably 2 weeks for me to get enough down here. So I'm more worried about protecting Moscow and I guess Stalingrad than I am the Caucasus Mountains and the plains in between. It's also an attempt to stretch out his supply lines even further. If he takes advantage of this, moves into it, there's not enough rail, hopefully, to supply all these divisions. So, yeah, at this point in time, I'm going to use this as a way, or as a kind of a test experiment, at least from my own perspective. I have a lot coming down here next turn. I also dedicate a lot of AP right now to replace one bad general with a better one. Other than that, it's just a counterattack at his move up towards Tambov. His forces hold here. I guess I accidentally changed my message delay because it seems to take a bit of time this turn. Okay. But it's here northeast of Tula. My 54th Army hits his 3rd Panzer Division. This goes very well for me. Out of his 94 tanks, we take a third of them. 37 guns. It only cost me 15 tanks. So, very happy with this result. I don't think it'll last in the next turn because I'm pretty sure his other Panzer Division's going to punch right through me. But I still think it was worth it. But even if those 2 attacks prove to be a mistake, I can't see just sitting on my hands at that point in time being worthwhile either. But as usual, this is what I was facing at the beginning of my turn. And through tough decisions, I chose to do this. Fairly confident it's not going to end well. I have pretty much an entire army heading and coming from the reserves near Stalingrad. Few reinforcements going towards the Ryazan area. And that's pretty much it for now. Desperately low on troops. Every front is way below what's needed in order to fill it out. So October, November, I'm not sure I'm going to get to the point where I have some wonderful counterattack comes December and January, but we'll play it out and see. Hopefully the mud just halts things for a bit and I get some form of a breather. But on to next week where I get to see November finally.